President Biden announced on October 6th that he was going to pardon those who have been charged with or convicted of possession with marijuana. Now, there are lots of different things and aspects to this, and that's what we're going to talk about in this video. I'm going to bring up the presidential proclamation on marijuana possession and what the site talks about right here. So, on October 6th, President Biden issued a presidential proclamation that pardons federal convictions for simple marijuana possession offenses. So, that only includes simple possession. That doesn't include with intent to distribute or any of those crimes of possession with marijuana in connection with other drugs. And we'll get into that in this site as it breaks down what is going on with this pardon. So, what does this mean for those with federal marijuana possession convictions? Under President Biden's proclamation, individuals with qualifying convictions are completely pardoned for their marijuana possession offense. The pardon applies only to qualifying offenses of simple possession of marijuana, not to any other offenses for which the individual has been charged or convicted. So, if you were in a stolen vehicle and had possession of marijuana, and you're charged and convicted of both of those crimes of possession of a stolen vehicle and possession of marijuana, only the possession of marijuana would be pardoned, not the possession of stolen vehicle. Now, I doubt that's a federal crime, but that was just an example to use. So, your other charges or convictions that are not related to simple possession of marijuana, those will still stand. So, it doesn't get rid of your whole case, just that one charge. It doesn't pardon all of your convictions or charges. It only pardons that one offense. So, what is a pardon? And it'll tell you right here, pardon is an expression of the president's forgiveness. Does not signify innocence or expunge the conviction, which means it'll still be on your record. If someone goes and looks it up, it'll still say that you were convicted on a federal level of possession of marijuana. And so that doesn't change. It does, however, remove civil disabilities, such as restrictions on the right to vote, to hold office, or to sit on a jury that are imposed because of the pardoned conviction. It may be helpful. It may also be helpful in obtaining licenses, bonding, or employment. And so that's the really good thing, is that it will give you, whenever you're charged with a federal crime, you lose some of your civil opportunities, civil abilities, but you lose some of those abilities to vote, to sit on a jury, to hold an office. But with this pardon, you could potentially sit on a jury, you could potentially vote, and you could potentially hold office. It doesn't necessarily clear your criminal record, but it does allow you to go back and gain the right to vote, to sit on a jury, and some other rights that were taken away because you had a federal conviction. Now, if you still have another federal conviction of a different crime other than simple possession of marijuana, you might still not have these civil liberties that we were just talking about. This only applies if possession of marijuana charge on a federal level was your only crime. So, how can I prove that I have been pardoned? You're gonna need proof that President Biden's proclamation applies to you, and the Office of the Pardon Attorney is working on a process and documents so that you can show that pardon. And so they're in the process of doing that, and I can look it up and so they're in the process of doing that. So there's nothing you can do right now. Like, next question is, how can I get a certificate of pardon? Again, you can't get one yet just because they're working on it. He just announced it, so they're working on the process, and they'll update you. And like it says, please check back here soon for further announcements. When can I apply for my certificate? Again, they're getting there. Another question is, does the proclamation apply to convictions under state law? No, President Biden's proclamation does not pardon convictions under state law, although it does apply to possession of marijuana convictions under the District of Columbia's criminal code. And so if you have a charge for simple possession on a state level, this does not pardon you for that crime. This is only on the federal level. And it's supposedly going to affect 6,500 individuals who have been charged and convicted of the simple marijuana charge, and only that charge. So another question was, does the proclamation apply to all types of federal marijuana offenses? Like I discussed, no, it doesn't. President Biden's proclamation applies only to simple possession of marijuana charges. conspiracy, distribution, possession with intent, and other charges involving marijuana are not pardoned by this proclamation. So President Biden would actually have to pardon do another pardon proclamation in order to pardon those who have been convicted of conspiracy, distribution, possession with intent to distribute. And he doesn't go that far in this situation. So those with those crimes are still not pardoned and this proclamation does not apply to them. So another question is, do I qualify for pardon if I was convicted under 21 USC section 844 of possession of marijuana and another drug in a single offense? And what they say is no, the proclamation does not apply to persons who are convicted of possessing multiple different controlled substances in the same offense. For example, if you're convicted of possessing marijuana and cocaine in a single offense, you do not qualify for pardon under the terms of the presidential Biden's proclamation. If you're convicted of one count of simple possession of marijuana and a second count of possession of cocaine, President Biden's proclamation applies only to the simple possession of marijuana count, not to the possession of cocaine count. So if you're charged and convicted of possession of two different drugs, then this proclamation does not apply to any charges that were not marijuana. So if it was cocaine, meth, heroin, any of those, then this proclamation and pardon does not apply to those offenses. And the biggest question right now is probably, does the proclamation protect me from being charged with marijuana possession in the future? No, the proclamation pardons only those offenses occurring on or before October 6th of 2022. It does not have any effect on marijuana possession offenses occurring after October 6th of 2022. President Biden did not make it legal to possess marijuana. He did not go that far, and he has not done that. The only thing he has done is pardon those who are convicted and charged with possession of marijuana, simple possession of marijuana. President Biden doesn't really have the authority to legalize marijuana. That would have to be something that goes through Congress. So all he's done in this situation is pardoned those who have been charged and convicted of simple possession of marijuana on or before October 6th, 2022. And so it is still illegal on the federal side, and you still get arrested, charged, and convicted of possession of marijuana. And now I want to hear from you. Do you think that Congress should decriminalize marijuana, or do you have any other suggestions on what Congress should do? And if Congress does not legalize marijuana by the time President Biden's term is over, do you think President Biden should or even will pardon those all the way up until his last day in office? Comment below. Also, watch this video to see how marijuana can be legal on a state level and illegal on a federal level.